Time to party like it's 1999. We finally reached the end, and then we will all die as the computers go crazy, can't handle 00, and lights go off, explode, our money all disappears, and...
So you better go to the supermarket and buy all the cans of corn,
Yep.
and the bottle of water.
Yep, and a hatchet.
Everything.
Yep.
That was the weirdest thing. I don't know.
Y2K. Well, it's funnier because we were kids.
Yeah.
So it was less ridiculous. It was actually a little bit frightening in a way. Cause,
I was afraid, and I remember waiting up till midnight and being like, nothing happened.
Yeah. Yeah, because we were in middle school. We were in 8th or 9th grade, like middle school going into high school. Like we were young teens. So there was enough of a freak out across the news and things like that we were actually, it was a little worried. It seemed ridiculous, but at the same time it was like, well,
I remember I was
maybe they're right.
'cause,
maybe it will happen.
Like earlier that day, it was New Year's somewhere else.
Yeah, right.
And nothing bad happened. But
yeah.
I was like, but what if it happens here?
Yeah.
American things tend
suck.
to break.
Yeah. But anyway, 1999, and luckily this decade went out with a bang. A lot of great stuff, a lot of really important things. So, and we'll start with something that I think gets talked about a lot, and it's fairly important: The Matrix, the first one.
And this was my
the good
first.
one.
My
this
first
was your
DVD.
first DVD. Yeah, mine was Rush Hour. It was your first. It was a lot of people's first. I remember the statistics when the PlayStation 2 came out. The next year, the number one selling thing with the PlayStation 2 was a DVD copy of The Matrix, not a game, because most people didn't have DVD players yet.
We had a DVD player. I remember my dad getting that for me and being pissed off because I thought VHS was the future. I was a huge fan of floppies, floppy disks and VHS, and I was like, this is stupid.
You don't have to rewind this. Like, what is this?
It was kind of cool, and I guess it did catch on a little bit.
And that was part of the thing that helped it. The Matrix was cool. I think now everything that made The Matrix cool is so overplayed and even like mocked in a way.
And it's not its fault.
Yeah, but at the time, it was pretty cool.
Amazing.
Yeah. It was, and that I saw in theaters.
Yeah, I saw that in theaters.
I saw that in theaters, and I remember I saw it like right when it came out. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I remember, because I went and saw it with my friends Zach and Patrick and both their dads, and we all went. And I very vividly remember, because it's one of the favorite trailers I've ever seen, they went through, and this was before we knew about, like, episode 1, really. Like, you knew it was coming out, but, like, you didn't really know much about it or whatever.
Yeah.
But you started with, it looked like going through a hall in the Death Star almost, and you get to this window, and it looked at, like, I haven't seen it since the theaters, but I remember it looked like the Emperor's, like, chamber almost, and the chair's facing the wrong way, and then it turns around, and it was Dr. Evil, and says, we're expecting perhaps someone else, like, because he thought it was Star Wars, would crack up. And, of course, then we got Austin Powers, Spy Shag, the second one, and I think for me, Lightning Struck Twice was amazing.
With your nice...
Yes, again, I brought up, last time, the Blockbuster sticker here, trying to keep it extra 90s here.
Because we still went to...
Yeah, still went to Blockbuster, but that was another good movie, and again, a great year for movies. One of my favorite movies ever. Another one where it's the first one that's great, and after that, okay. But yeah, The Mummy, Brendan Fraser, and Erica Weiss. This is great. Like, this is a fantastic movie. I love this movie more than I should. Like, it is amazing. I saw this in theaters, and it blew me away as a middle schooler.
Oh yeah, this was. It was
great. It was everything I loved, and we really hadn't had a really spectacular archaeological adventure movie, I think, since The Last Crusade. Like, there were some but like there was nothing really that momentous. This was just great. I loved it.
It was
and the humor, I'll never forget. Remember Benny?
Yeah.
It was like, he was great. But yeah, this was beautiful.
I don't know why they had to redo it with Mr. Asshole.
Yeah, I know. But no, this is brilliant. This is one I can't wait to get on Laserdisc, because that's gonna be awesome. But yeah, this was a great movie. So it was a really good year for movies, and also we got Galaxy Quest that year, which one of the best spoofs ever. And I think it did
phenomenal.
It was great. That's a really good Star Trek movie in a way.
It is.
But they got the relationships, like the interpersonal relationships, a lot of the cast of the original series down pat. But they did a good job, because I think it works because it's not just a straight like you didn't have Tim Allen wasn't trying to be Shatner, but it was the same kind of relationship and like the type of ego and stuff that Shatner would have.
The casting was amazing.
It was amazing. Everyone did a great
Rickman.
job. Yeah. Sigourney Weaver was great. She was fantastic. Everyone did a good job, but they did enough to where they made it their own thing. It wasn't just a straight Star Trek spoof. Like, it was, but it wasn't. It had enough original stuff about it that it worked. Like, you didn't have Tim Allen doing a Shatner impersonation. He was doing a different character who shared a lot of traits in the relationships. Worked really well. That was a fantastic movie that that alone makes me excited for the Orville. Yes. Just because Galaxy Quest pulled it off, I'm like, well, maybe they can pull that off again.
he's a huge fan.
Yeah.
So I feel like he'll do it
Galaxy
justice.
Quest is the
I'm
thing
really
that gives me
excited
hope for
about
that. It was also, what else came out that year? Oh, yeah, of course, South Park. Bigger, longer, and uncut. And that was a surprising movie because South Park had only been on for a couple years. Like,
you
South
saw
Park
that in
was
theaters,
very...
didn't you?
No, I didn't see it in theaters.
Didn't?
You couldn't. They actually, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, I remember talking about in the interviews on one of the releases of the movie, talked about how they think the movie actually did better than it really did, but a lot of kids were buying movies to, like, PG movies and then sneaking into South Park. So I think that, and so no, I didn't see it till it came out on VHS.
I wasn't allowed to see it.
Yeah, but yeah, it was weird because it was a great movie. I mean, remember Robin Williams then at the Academy Awards doing Blame Canada and stuff? Yeah. That was a great movie, and it's surprising because the series wasn't on very long, and they haven't done one since.
Yeah.
So that was, and as far as movies, I think that's it for movies, and then, well, except for the big guy, we're saving for the end here. But moving on to TV, there's a whole lot of stuff came out on TV at the same time too, and some of your favorites, some big mainstream hits, and some very not so mainstream hits, but the most important one for me, the one I love so much, Farscape. Farscape came out.
This was amazing.
And I'm a huge Jim Henson fan. Anything Jim Henson related in any way.
And this is Jim Henson for grown-ups.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. Meeting like sci-fi in the most.
Pilot.
That was incredible.
Like
I will always love Cheon. Like, but
of course you will.
But oh my gosh, it is amazing.
But this just.
Farscape's
it did not last as long as it should. I understand it cost a lot of money, but it was so worth it.
Oh yeah.
It was so worth it. They should have done a GoFundMe. If they
Visually,
had GoFundMe back then, that would have been amazing.
Farscape is the one older sci-fi series that could air now and not look out of date at all. Not a single effect in it would look out of date.
This was Alien, which Star Trek couldn't do.
Yes,
Nothing else could do it. And this was Alien.
Truly
was
Alien.
Cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that was just, and Moya, like it was just
everything about it. Everything about it was
beautiful.
Incredible.
Like we'll have to go in depth.
Yes. Someday. That's like
this is just
incredible.
And the Peacekeeper Wars, but.
Yeah, no, Farscape, amazing. And also some not so mainstream, really good stuff. Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World.
It should be mainstream.
Yes. Another Australian thing here.
It's Australian and New Zealand. It was filmed in Australia. This is The Lost World, which has had many incarnations.
Yes, but this is it.
This is the best one.
This is the shit right here.
This is the best. Let me know in the comments below if you've ever seen this.
Season 3 and the horrible cliffhanger ending, which is depressing as hell. All hell. But it works for you because you were an active part of the fan community.
I was an active part of the fan community, and we eventually, after a couple of years of thinking it was going to be picked back up, and then it didn't last second, and then it did, but then it didn't. Eventually, the creators did write very long thing explaining what their plans were for this series. But it's a phenomenal series.
Yeah. That again is another one of those kind of in the vein of the Xena Hercules style. You know what I mean? Like that type of from that era.
If you look at the stunt people, they're the same stunt people.
Yeah.
The costumes, a lot of them are the same.
Yeah, you can see that castle they use like 6 million times is in the background. A couple of shots there and things.
Yeah, they're the same people.
There's so much, and another one that came out the same year, which in a very similar vein, Beastmaster.
Oh, I love Beastmaster.
That was another really good series, and again another like short-lived. Should have been more
Tao
popular.
better than TV.
Yeah.
Dar was great, but Tao was cute. I liked Tao.
But that was a good one. It also was a good year for animation. Family Guy, which you're a big fan of. I'm kind of meh, but Family Guy. But it's still a recorded series.
Awesome.
But
Seth MacFarlane.
It's alright. But yeah, but much better. Futurama also came out that year. Futurama. I actually prefer Futurama to The Simpsons. Like I'm such a sci-fi guy, but yeah, Futurama is amazing. Futurama's great.
Whoa.
Yeah. And also, in anime news over here in North America, we finally got Digimon Adventure, which is better than the Pokemon.
They were so much better.
It's better than
so much better.
Comparing it directly, beginning of Digimon to Pokemon, Indigo League or whatever the first one was.
Yeah, no,
I like Digimon
phenomenal.
better. Like even though it's just but.
No, it was much better.
So it was a good year for TV, and it was also a pretty interesting year for music. For a lot of this was one of those years where the airways were full of mainstream bubblegum pop. You know what I mean? Like that type of
You're my pop princess.
That was Pop Princess, but Livin' La Vida Loca was by Ricky Martin was #1 that year. I mean, that tells you the type of music that for some reason was blaring this year. It really was. It's also the release of Stuff You're Embarrassed to Own, but I bought personally. Britney Spears, Baby One More Time, and Christina Aguilera, Genie in a Bottle.
You're a genie in a bottle?
Rub me that right way. But yeah, it was good. These instantly remind me of the 90's very much.
They do. They
really do.
Which is weird because they're at the very end of the 90s.
Yes.
I tend to think of them as being like.
But I think
90s.
It was perfect timing too, because it was still like even though it was the end of the 90s, we were also entering that middle school like age, and like I remember them playing at those at like middle school dances and like being at high school and like that type of stuff. Like
I didn't go to dances. I had better things to do. I had
it's that kind of thing. And then it was also a great year for video games, and we're just gonna say the last two, including a movie here for the end. But for video games, Crash Team Racing, to me, my favorite racing game of all time.
I suck.
Yes. Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver, the second game in the series, but really that's the one that popularized the franchise.
The most amazing voice acting in any video game ever.
Amazing. We also got my favorite Pokemon game, which is not one of the Game Boy ones, Pokemon Snap, still my favorite Game Boy game, my favorite Pokemon game on the N64.
So stupid that they haven't remade it.
Yeah,
even
especially
for the Switch.
on the Wii U.
Even for the Switch, you
need
can still
it,
do it for the Switch.
Huge missed opportunity. But yeah, this is one that like on paper, how's that even a game? Let alone your favorite Pokemon game? But this is awesome.
Especially with the freaking cell phone game.
Yeah, you could even on like cell phones, tablets.
Why do you not have that again?
Why? Yeah, why is there not Pokemon Snap 2? Like that will always be a question for me. Pro Skater 2, like Tony Hawk, like that was...
Everybody played that.
Everybody played that. So those first two games, I don't know anyone... I don't think I've met anyone around my age who's never played those first two games.
No,
like they were everywhere, absolutely. And they perfected it to the point where it was like over the top kind of like arcade action with skateboarding instead of being more of a simulator or something like that. Like it was really, really cool. And just everything about it was... The controls were perfect. Like it was so much fun.
The music was good at the beginning.
Yeah, everything was great. It was also the year that we got Smash Brothers in the N64. Not a Smash fan, but I appreciate why people like it. Because if you're a fan if you're a big Nintendo fan, and I think that was my thing, I was never a huge Nintendo fan, like their franchises. So like, if you are, that's such a cool concept.
I like it because it's not like a typical fighting game. Like it's a brawl.
I think it's the other thing too. Is like I've always been like I grew up with like SNK fighters and stuff like that, like the arcades.
And it's very different.
Right, and then I moved on to like Virtua Fighter, Tekken, that kind of stuff. And it's very different.
It's very creative, and I
like
that.
Oh yeah. No, it's a brilliant series. And we also got the crack addiction known as EverQuest that I got to experience before it was even released, which was nice, behind the scenes, and that's
so
amazing.
Jealous.
That's one of those games that
jealous.
If I could pick any MMO, any online-only game that I wish there was some way to just experience that world completely offline, just as like a memory type thing, and not rely on like fan servers or whatever, just like to be able to have a physical copy on a disc that you can just put in and explore the world, even if it feels totally empty at that point, would be the original EverQuest.
I think they do still have fan servers out.
They do. You can still play EverQuest like vanilla, but it's not like. But if that would ever go away, like this would be the one I would. This would be the one thing I would pick to have like a solid like physical forever copy.
I don't know why they don't do that. With, like,
it wouldn't make enough money. Like
I feel like people would buy it, but I feel like people would buy it.
But yeah, so that was a huge crack addiction. EverQuest, I remember, that was ridiculous. The two biggest things of the year, of course, though, one that was disappointing, and one that almost proves they're a supreme being. The two of them, the disappointing one. So, episode 1, that came out in theaters. I saw this in theaters, and it was interesting because as a kid, when I saw it, I was so hyped up because I was the right age that when I saw it in theaters, even though it wasn't that great, I loved it at first.
Of course.
And then by the time, like, a year or so later, whenever it came out on VHS and stuff like that, and then I rewatched it, and I'm like, it really isn't that great. Like, but as a kid, it was like, holy crap, and we were too young to see it in theaters.
I'm finally seeing Star Wars. And I think, for me personally, like, living through my father, because for him, to see a Star Wars film in theaters again was like this crazy thing. And so I think like I was hyped up because of that. Like I'm finally being able to do something that he did and together, and
that was
very exciting.
Yeah. It was huge phenomenon. It was a massive moneymaker that year, of course. I mean, the return of Star Wars to theaters. That was a new Star Wars. And as disappointing as it was, it's still I still like it only because I have such fond memories with it. Like I don't like it as a movie. I like parts of it as a movie. Like the parts are good, but as a package, I don't like it.
Binks.
Yeah,
that's your favorite part.
Yeah, sure. But I have so many fond memories of it that like I really like it. And the Weird Al song, of course, like helps keep it memorable. But the one thing released that year that made more money than that was the launch of the Dreamcast. And Sega flew too close to the sun and went out, left the hardware market. But they did so in the most miraculous fashion and released the greatest gaming console ever to grace human existence.
It's so tiny.
It's glorious. Like, this is the greatest bundle of gaming ever.
It's too loud.
It is loud. It is one loud.
It's really loud.
It's like a plane taking off.
I always think it's broken when you turn it on. So loud.
Yeah, but I love the Dreamcast. Dreamcast is amazing. And I'm so happy that now I'm getting to experience so many games. And now I have a Japanese Dreamcast and I'm able to play some games like that. Because when this came out, it was a massive, massive success that... It's a long story about what happened with the Dreamcast, but it was a huge success for a short period of time, and so much came out for it, but I didn't have the money for it. It was when I got it, and then in North America, we lost basically all support for it pretty quickly. In Japan, it still continued for a while, but it became so hard to get Dreamcast games very quickly afterwards. Like, unless...
Where you...
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause I wasn't aware. There was actually at the time
there was
a really good chain. Never knew. Totally on the opposite side of, like, the city where we live. Never knew it existed, so at the time I couldn't find Dreamcast games, and it was like...
I showed you where they were.
Yeah, now you
They
did.
were all
Yeah.
there. And Shenmue!
Yes.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Shenmue!
Now that's like an obsession. It's like...
Oh my god!
Yeah. But that was one of the first games one of the only games I had for a while there. But the Dreamcast has stood the test of time and just has... I think it has that perfect balance of what made retro gaming great and what was good about the future of gaming with like the progress. Like a lot of things were lost, I think, in modern gaming, but a lot of things are better than it's ever been. And to me, the Dreamcast was that perfect in between, that perfect fusion of like really cool old school arcade games and then the future. Like, so I think to me that's why it stood out, because it's that perfect as everything. It's the perfect balance and like the perfect machine, I think. So to me, like the great way to end the 90s with the Dreamcast. And that is the end of the 90s. Let us know. Make sure you go check back and watch the other videos and let us know some of your 90s memories, some things that we missed, some things that were really important and memorable to you. And yeah, that is the 90s. The summer of the 90s is over.
And now it's over, and then it's going to be bad, and life's going to be over as we know it.
Yeah, things change a lot after the 90s. And remember to check back, though. Again, I told you before, we were having a bonus video. My wife saw the premiere of a really big 90s movie for a certain age group, at least. So check back for that bonus video, and thank you for joining us for this journey down memory lane of the awesome 90s.